Hi, this is Tranisha Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about never too late. So, what made me think about never too late is earlier today I had a real conversation with someone who I am cool with, and we I said cool like I'm trying to be a cool kid or something, but but I really just wanted to be honest and just transparent and just be myself. And sometimes I know it can be hard to be yourself because you feel like you're going to be scrutinized. But honestly, right now I'm at a point in my life and at an age where I really feel like being myself and being rejected is better than being someone else and someone not liking me or having some kind of negative connotation towards my character based on something that's not even real. So I feel like it's best for me to be the best version of myself. And if someone doesn't accept me, they're not supposed to be in my life. Or if someone doesn't respect my decision or my opinion, then they're not for me or they're not supposed to be involved in my life in any way. Because the people who I surround myself with, the people who I allow in my life, who God allows in my life, are supposed to be there. When When it comes to the idea of lowering our standards, it's becoming platitudinous. I really feel like the idea that we need to lower our standards has become something that is it's just something that you see over and over again. It's something that is so, so many people around me are willing to lower their standards, lower themselves, lower their character, lower who it is that God intended them to be just to fit in, just to be with a person, just to have a piece of a person, just to do something that's not even fulfilling them. And I don't want to live an unfulfilled life at all. I pray every single day because I know like, even for me, I'm not going to sit here and try to fake like I'm this strong woman who just never makes mistakes and who always has standards and always does the right thing. I really don't. I mess up just as much as everybody else. And so I really want to be real and letting you know that it's hard for me as well. And I have to really pray every day to God to give me discernment, to give me strength, to to keep me at the standards that He intended me to be. And I don't mean that I'm over judgmental towards other people or I just have this unrealistic preference on what it is that I want for my life. I mean, I have real standards and I have real things that really truly matter to my character. They matter to the type of person that I want to become. They matter to the the type of a relationship that I'm looking forward to in the future. And I don't ever want to settle for something that is below my standards. That I don't want to settle for anything that causes disruption in my spirit. I don't want to feel uneasy. I don't want to feel stressed because I allowed something into my life that's that's not me. And something that really helped me that I learned lately, and I think I always knew this, but it's good to reiterate. It's good to hear it again so that it can kind of signal something within your brain to remind you how important it is that it's never too late. It really is never too late. You might, and this is just an example, but you might ruin a relationship, like a potential relationship. You might ruin a friendship. You might, and when I say relationship, know that I mean both friendship and romantic or whatever else it is. Any type of any type of relationship in your life, it could be a friendship, it could be a work relationship, it could be, romantic, it could be anything. But whatever type of relationship it is, it's never too late for you to start standing up for yourself, for you to start believing in yourself, for you to have standards and stick to them. People might not always adhere to them. That's going to be their issue. You can't control what anyone else does. You can only control what it is that you do in your life. And for me, whenever I lower my standards, it really does take a hit at my self esteem. It really does make me feel insecure. It makes me start to feel all of those negative emotions that I've healed from. And it's not that I feel them at full force like I used to in the past, but I can slowly feel those things try to re-enter. Those things try to reinsert themselves into my heart, into my soul, into my mind, into my body. And I don't want to live with that type of toxicity within my system. I only want to live with goodness in my soul, my mind, body, and soul. And in order for me to do that, I have to continue to honor myself and honor the type of woman that I'm becoming. Honor honor God, because God knows better than I do. And when he says that this is the type of person that you'll have, why do I never bring my notes in here? But God was really speaking to me last night. And people are probably going to think this is a bad thing. And yes, I have like a little baggage going on underneath my eyes because I literally had little to no sleep last night. And I feel fine. But that's God. It's not me. And coffee. But so last night I had the worst headache ever. You probably saw it in the last video if they go in order, because sometimes I will be doing videos and I'll do them like a couple days out or whatever else. And I will be talking to God, spending time with God, and God will say, "This is the one that you have to post today. Someone needs to hear this right now. Like, you can't wait a couple days, you can't wait a week, however long. You have to put this out right now because this will help one of my children." And sometimes it helps me. Sometimes it's one of those things that I post and a week or two goes by and I might be going through a trial or a tribulation in my life, and I will go back and I will watch one of the videos. And I know not a lot of YouTubers do this, but I really am serving in my purpose. And sometimes it's good to have that reminder that everything's going to be okay, that you can't give up, that you need to continue in your purpose, that you have to have standards, that you have to have boundaries in your life, because you really have to strive to do better. And I'm not always going to feel as confident as I do right now. I'm not always going to feel 100% like every single day. Some days I'm going to feel 20%. Some days I'm going to feel 50%. Some days I'm going to feel like 98.99, 99.999%. Like, it's just going to vary every day, and I have no idea how the trajectory of my life is going to go. I don't know how my story is going to develop throughout this process of my life. And so whenever God puts something on my heart, I record it, I air it whenever he tells me to air it, or in order. And I do it because I know that whoever needs the video is going to hear it. And if the video is not for someone, maybe it's just for me. Sometimes I will be like, it'll be one view and it's me. And it's because I was going through something difficult and God just said, you need this right now. And the funny thing, well, I don't know if it's funny or if this happens to everyone, but I literally pray before the videos and I ask God to just allow me to serve and inspire in any way that he sees fit, and to allow him to be the main focus of whatever the video is. Like, I may tell my story, I may say other things that they may be something that resembles someone else's story, or that someone else can they could see their story in my story, and it might help them because they feel like they're not alone. And I feel like God just is constantly working and guiding the words that I'm saying and guiding the things that I'm doing, my actions, everything, as long as I'm being obedient and I'm making sure that I'm putting him first. Because I'll go back and look at the video and I'm like, I said that? I don't even remember saying that. Like, what? And then like some of the stuff will be straight bars and I'm like, hmm? like like I know I'm an intelligent person, but I know that's God. Like, it's not just me. It's not that I just am super overly intelligent and I really just am a wordsmith, or, a connoisseur of of things and of words, and I just have like the best game, the best word game ever. Like, no, I don't. I'm a hot mess sometimes, And God continues to work on me to develop me into the woman that He created me to be every single day. And I'm not going to pretend like I'm perfect because I'm not. And I feel like I always have to say that because sometimes when you see people in a moment, you see them smiling, you see them glowing, you see, different features, different characteristic traits of someone. You may feel like, oh, this person has everything that I want. Nobody has everything you want. I promise you. I look at some relationships and it's just like, oh my goodness, you'll hear your friends or other people say relationship goals. And I'm like, nah, it's not a relationship goal. Like, I'm happy for people that are in relationships. I'm happy that they got married or engaged or they found a boyfriend or they're in a season of their life, whatever it is, single season, whatever season it is that they are in their life. I'm happy for them and I'm praying for them that they find the strength to always remember who they are, no matter if they're single, in a relationship, whatever else. And they always seek to find happiness within themselves instead of idolizing the person that they're with. That's what I pray over every person I see as a relationship goal or in a relationship or getting married or in a single season. Because I know that in each one of those seasons, the grass always looks greener on the other side. But I must quote this from what my pastor said, but I think this is a quote from somewhere else. He said, the grass always seems greener on the other side, but it's greener where you water it. I think I heard like an older person say that before too, but it's really true because where you lack effort and where you decide not to put work in an area in your life, of course it's going to lack. If you, I have, and this is why I think I really do have the heart of a preacher because I could be walking down the street and see something and it envelops a whole message. And I'm like, how in the world did that become something that I'm going to use to learn or to grow? It's just so weird, but it's even like I got these rose bushes in the front yard. You water rose bushes every other day, and it has to have sunlight. It has to be an area that has sunlight, and you have to also make sure that you water over top of the plants, and you also have to water the roots because as long as the roots are wet, it will add nourishment to the rest of the plant. And so that takes work. It's not something that you can just ignore. If I ignore the plants for 3 days, the roses are going to die. And that's how it is in any relationship. That's how it is in anything that you do in your life. You can't just, like, you may be able to rest a day, or you may be able to rest whenever it is that God says that you need to rest, so that you have the energy and so that He can tell you more things that you need to learn, so that you can become the person you want to be and grow in your purpose. And sometimes you're waiting because he's building that relationship in the background so that you don't have to feel like there's so much pressure on you because you're trying to do a God-sized job. So just like those plants, it's going to take work. Any relationship in your life, at work, friendship, job, I said job and work, but you know what I mean, relationship, friendship, whatever it is going to take work. I can't just neglect my friends and expect them to still be there for me. I have to really put real work in. And I want to say it's never too late for friendship too. When you have real friends, you might be down and out for a little period of time, and your friends will be there for you, but you also have to be there for them as well. You can't just have a one-sided friendship. Everything that's worth having takes work, and either you want it or you don't. And so when it's something that you truly desire, you put forth an effort because it's something you want something different. If you want something like everybody else, put little to no effort in it, and I promise you're going to get exactly what everyone else gets. I want something that's extraordinary. I want something abnormal. I don't want anything like everyone else has because that's not what's for me. What's for me is for me. God has specific things just for you. The person that He has for you, the job that He has for you, the friendship that He has for you, the house, the car, the clothes, whatever it is for you. It's not for another person. He's not designing something that you desire to send it to someone else. And just because you desire it because it looks good doesn't mean it's good for you. Sometimes you really have to realize that everything that's intended for you will be for you. You're not going to have to manipulate someone into doing it. You're not going to have to convince someone that that you're the right person for them. You're not going to have to convince your friends that you are the right person to be in this friendship. You're not going to have to convince the job that, okay, you will have to put forth in a resume and have competency in a certain area. And yes, you will put forth work, just like every relationship takes. But it's not that you have to do something extra to get the job. The job that's for you will be for you. As long as you're working at it, as long as you're putting forth an effort, then the job is for you, but you don't have to manipulate the job to get it. This job is specifically a position that God had for you. So I hope you understand the difference between those two. So what I'm saying is everything that's worth it will take work. But and when it's something that's not intended for you, you will feel exhausted because it's not for you and it's not flowing. The things that are for you will flow. It'll be something that God will just open doors randomly. It'll just work out not super easy. Like, of course, you worked for the job, but you can tell when God's in it because it'll just fall into place out of nowhere. That's just like my story with my student loans. I would have it's only God that allowed me to pay off my student loans, I promise you. And I'm not just saying that because I'm religious and I'm Christian. I'm saying it because it's the truth. Like, all of the things that had to line up, all of the things that had to happen in order for me to pay off those student loans is it's so crazy. If you ask God for something and you put forth an effort and you really are working to a goal for a real purpose, God will help you. He's not just gonna leave you out there struggling like, oh, whatever. I hear you praying, but call back later. Like he's like, no, I got you. And so I'm sitting there, I'm struggling like I mean, it was hard. It was hard out here in these streets. Like I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm ever going to pay off these student loans." It just seemed like they wanted you to pay an amount that was like the only amount that you could afford, but then you were left with nothing if an emergency came up. And then on top of that, the APR was so high because for people that are going to school, please check the APR and pay attention to what they're saying. I know when you're in school, you really don't realize how much of a percentage an APR is, especially when it's divided into individual groups. So for me, when they said 3.6% APR for my student loans, I'm thinking, okay, 3% is a lot, but not a whole lot. And so, I mean, and that depends on where you fall within your income. But for me, it was six groups of 3.6% individually. Yeah. Or 6%. I think it was 6% because I remember saying, oh, 6 times 6, 36% APR. That's ridiculous. Can you imagine trying to pay back 36% interest on over $20,000? Impossible at a minimum wage job, impossible at a job that you don't make a ton of money at. And then even when they go off of income, they still want you to pay. I don't know if this is for everyone, but my story was a struggle, man. Like, let's say I had $50 left, they would say, "Oh, pay 51." Like, oh, the extra dollar, you can just find an extra dollar somewhere. Like, they would really try to do me like that. And so I was like so stressed out trying to pay these student loans, and people were like, "Don't worry about it." And this is another thing, another lesson that I learned in my life. Don't listen to what everyone else is saying when your intuition is telling you something different. If you know something's not right for you, if you know something doesn't sit right with you, if you know something is not feeding your soul, if something's pulling away from you, if something's stressing you out, if something is making you feel a certain type of way, you need to do what's best for you because what's best for everyone else doesn't work for everyone else. Everyone has their own individual thing that they need in order to feel that stress-free feeling, in order to feel that peace. And I couldn't feel peace having student loans hanging over my head. I know there's like millions of other people that just didn't care. They were just like, it's impossible to pay it. I'm not worried about it. I understand. To each his own. I'm just saying for me specifically, it was like a chain around my neck, shoulders, hands, legs. Like I literally felt like I was in shackles, a slave to my student loans. It did not feel like, oh, it's no big deal. I just pay this for the rest of my life. I'm not throwing away $300 every month for the rest of my life. That's crazy. Like, that's ridiculous. I wasn't about to do that. And then for me to a $20,000 loan to end up being 76,000 by the time I paid it off. Nah, bro. Like, can you imagine what I would have done with that extra 50,000 or whatever? Like, mm, no. And I'm just estimating. I'm not saying this is exact numbers. I know that's incorrect and it's inaccurate, but it's a roundabout number. It's not an exact, it's an estimate. Okay. So I just want to clarify that so no one's like, oh, and she works finance. No, we don't have to go into the logistics of things. This is just an estimate, a rough estimate, not not a specific particular number. Okay. And so and so for me, once God, once I was like really stressed about everything and I was going through some other stuff in my relationship and everything else. So it wasn't just the loans, it was just a lot at once. And I just was praying to God, like, I don't know what it is that I need to do, but something. I need your help. I really was like, I really need your help. I can't live like this. I can't live with the student loans and all the other stuff that was going on in my life. I really needed a way out. And I didn't know how I was going to get the way out. I didn't know how he was going to do it, but I had faith even when I didn't rededicate my life to God. I had faith in that moment and I trusted in him. And I guess that was like really the start of the process, even though I say like 2 strong years or whatever else, for rededicating my life to God. I really saw him in that moment come through for me. He I heard him for the first time. Like I would get like my intuition, and usually when something's telling you that something is wrong or this is the right decision, usually that's God directing you before you start hearing his voice, before you really get a stronger relationship with him. And so when when I had prayed and I said, God, I really, really need your help. Like this is something, it was like the biggest burden on my shoulders ever. And God just said, clear as day. Like I just felt it in my spirit telling me to save. Save, 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 save as much money as you possibly can. Cut back on everything. Save. I mean, of course, I followed the Dave Ramsey method and everything. That's what really helped me. But I just started cutting back. Like, I had no apps. I know the young generation is probably going to say, what? You went without Netflix and Hulu and all those other things? Yes, I did. I had, I don't know if you know what this is, but I had Pluto TV, like the live TV, and then DVDs. And it was a struggle because I wanted to watch the new episodes of some of the stuff that like I wait for the whole week to watch or whatever, like on that one day or that one episode during like the week or whatever else. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't even catch up on this show. But me paying off the student loans was more important than that to me. I even like cut back on groceries and I like got things like chicken instead of like all the steak. Man, I love some red meat, and please don't judge me. But I do. I think I like red meat more than. Well, now that I eat like healthier and everything, I've gotten used to the whole fish and seafoods and yeah. I don't think I'll ever get used to chicken. I know, get the stereotype out of your head, but I like chicken, but I don't love chicken. Like I can eat it, it's fine. But it's not like if I go to like a restaurant, if I go somewhere and chicken's on the menu, that's the last thing I want to order unless I just don't want a salad. Or unless it's ooh, when they have a grilled chicken Caesar, now that's good. I might do a salad and a grill and a chicken there. even though both of those things are something that would be my last option. But if I don't have any choice, that's what I'm going to eat. And so, so I would do chicken. I would do like canned tuna because I still ate healthy. And while I was eating healthy, I really had to find things that were cheap, that were going to fulfill me, that were going to be something that I could fit within the budget that I was scheduling for myself. Like I was down to the penny in my budgets. It was so crazy. And so I would do like chicken. I would do they sell these big, huge bags of chicken. And what I would do is I would either cut off the leg quarter and eat like the thigh and the leg separate and do like legs one week and maybe thighs, like baked thighs, or I would do like fried chicken, but it wasn't real fried. It was air fried because I don't eat fried foods if I can help it. If someone else is cooking something, like today, someone cooked something that was fried and I didn't know and I ate it, but I feel fine right now, which is weird because usually I would be so sick right now. I would be like doubled over in fetal position because I would be in so much, my stomach would be in so much pain because of all the grease. But I feel fine. I don't know what it is, but I'm not complaining. Maybe it's because when I went away, I did eat sweet potato fries that were deep fried, and it hurt a little, but it didn't hurt as badly as it did the first time that I ate fried foods. So I don't know, maybe my stomach is tougher now. Who knows? But so I would do the air fried chicken, baked chicken. I would boil chicken and then try to make chicken salad because that's a whole nother story. But or I would like ask my grandma like, what do I need to put in this? Because you got that one family member that could really cook, and you just ask them what kind of things you add, and then they tell you, and you'd be like, this is pretty good. Or I do like chicken Alfredo or something like that. And I'd use like the chicken and noodles are cheap. And then I get like some kind of sauce or make homemade sauce with half and half and all that. But I try not to do that often because those ingredients cost a lot when you have to do them on your own because you have to buy everything separate. So I would do like Creole or whatever. And I would do not butter, but I would do like, well, for my family, then I would do butter with the Creole New Orleans seasoning. And I would do, what else did I put in there? I think I used Old Bay, and I don't know what else was in there. And I just did the noodles, and then I made with the half and half and all those ingredients. I seasoned the chicken first, and I let it marinate in a bag for like about 30 minutes to an hour. And no, I can't cook. This is just one thing that I looked up online and I just made it and it turned out pretty good. But I'm not a cook. And so I marinated the chicken, and then after I marinated it, I put it on the stove and, flipped it over and stuff, and then used the chicken, or I would boil the chicken and I would add in like seasonings and stuff and let it sit and marinate in the seasoning. Either way. So I would either boil it, pull apart the chicken, season it, let it sit, and allow the flavors to like just penetrate the chicken. Or I would season the chicken, put it in a bag, let it marinate for 30 minutes to an hour, and then fry it. And I would like cut it into little strips or whatever. So it would be like little pieces of chicken on the Alfredo or whatever. And then, make the noodles. And in the noodles, I would, boil the noodles with the technique that I use because I don't like to take a lot of time to cook. So I would be doing other stuff while I waited for the chicken to marinate. And then, why am I telling the whole recipe? But, but I would do that and cook up the noodles, put them in the saucepan, add in some butter, add in all the seasonings with the noodles and the half and half in the seasoning so that the noodles don't dry out. And then I would, after the chicken is apart, I would take the chicken, and instead of mixing it together, so the chicken, like you can mix it together too, you could do it either or. For me, for my plate, I did the chicken on top, or I put it in the bottom with the noodles, and then the parsley on top for decoration, just to be fancy. But but for like everyone else's, I think I just mixed it all in together and then just did one and then parsley. But yeah, that worked out for a little bit for people. But for me, like, I really would get chicken and eggs and rice, and I would get the canned tuna, and I would make tuna cakes with eggs, and instead of mayo, I would use I'm not gonna tell my whole recipe because this is really, really good and it's simple. And I'm gonna make up like a nutrition book that's gonna be like a not like this one, but I have another book called The 5 R's. It's like a little thin thing that's like a PDF that you can get. So I'm gonna make a PDF within the next month. I would say a couple weeks, but we'll see what happens. I'm gonna make a PDF and it's gonna be all the nutritional things that I ate on a budget that were really delicious to me. Now everyone's taste buds are different, so don't don't come at me if you don't like it. That's just it is what it is. But yeah, I would make like tuna cakes, and I would make omelets, a whole bunch of different omelets with the mushrooms, or I do like tomatoes or whatever else. But I would do like all of the cheaper items, and I would make meals out of it, like the rice with the chicken, or the chicken with the noodles, or the something like that, or salmon or tuna salad or tuna cakes, or I would do what's the other thing that I used to eat? It was so delicious. I used to do it was not egg salad. What was it? I don't even remember what it was. Could it be? I don't know. But I used to make something. I don't remember what it was. I don't even eat it anymore, but it was so delicious. Whatever it was. Man, I wish I could remember. I had like a book that I wrote all of my like really delicious nutritional things that I'd eat. Like, so you get bored with eating certain stuff when you eat healthy. So I would like put my own little spin on and come up with new nutritious things. Like when I do hot chocolate, I do milk and cocoa powder and then some sort of sweetener or the unsweetened pumps. And it makes your hot chocolate like hundreds of calories less, and it's still delicious and it tastes pretty much the same. Or I would do I just would substitute a lot of stuff. But anyways, back to the story. So I would do all of these things to cut back on budget and everything else, and I was saving because God told me to save. And then once I started saving, the next thing you know, the virus hit and the stimulus happened, and 0% APR happened, and there was nothing that you needed to pay on your student loans. And God really used that time for me to be building up finances so that I could pay off my student loans. I didn't know what He was doing. I was just being obedient. And because I listened to Him, because I decided that, I wanted to follow God's way and not the way that I was doing things or what everyone else was doing. It allowed me, He really truly blessed me and allowed me to pay off my student loans. It was literally like one thing after another. Like I saved up the money, so I was being obedient. And then the 0% APR thing happened. Then the stimulus check happened. And then then you didn't have to pay student loans. So instead of me paying a little bit at a time on the 0% APR, because at first they did like 3 months, then they did 6 months, then they did like a year or something like that. So that whole like 3 months to a year gave me plenty of time to be able to save and to pay off my student loans because I was budgeting, because I was and it was not easy. I had to really be obedient and in intentional with what it was that I was doing. And I feel like that's how we have to be in our entire life. And I could have just said, "Oh, it's too late. I had these student loans all this time. I'm just going to give up." But I didn't give up. I continued to persevere. I continued to push forward because I wanted to be obedient to God. I wanted to be obedient so that I could be blessed, so that I could live the life that I desired. And I knew that God didn't intend for me to feel shackled my whole life or for me to feel miserable. And even though I felt that in that moment, I still felt like I could still stay in this relationship that was really going nowhere. But I prayed, like I still, whenever I felt something uneasy, he continued to do things in my life that allowed me to move forward. It was only God that allowed me to be able to do all of that because of the things that just lined right up for me. And so I really feel like it's never too late to have standards. It's never too late to stand up for yourself. It's never too late to follow through. And even when you feel like you're losing out on something, you're not losing anything that's not from God, because what's from God, you can't push away, you can't destroy, you can't break what God ordained. Nothing can come in between what it is that God has for you at all. So every time you want to beat yourself up because you messed up a conversation or a comment or you said something the wrong way, don't be down on yourself, because it's really never too late. And I really should say in conclusion, because I don't have, unless I feel something in my soul, I always say that. But in conclusion, it is never too late to do the right thing. It's never too late for God to be able to use you. And it's never too late to have standards and to stick to them, because your standards and boundaries are there to protect you. People may make you feel like it's ridiculous to have standards and boundaries. Like you just need to fall in with the crowd. You need to do what everyone else is doing. And you will see so many people just willing to settle. It'll make you feel like, why am I pushing so hard for something that I want? But if you're like me, your spirit will be disturbed if you lower your standards. If you don't set boundaries for yourself, it will drive you crazy. And you not being yourself and stressing yourself out and allowing yourself to feel all of this pressure is unnecessary. If there is a way for you to avoid it, if there's a way for you to live a more peaceful life, then follow that avenue. And if you make a mistake, if you mess up and you feel like this person, this job, this thing is so important to you that you are you are so stressed that it's affecting your focus, it's affecting your day-to-day life, then it might not be the thing for you. And then not only that, but don't ever let someone make you feel like your standards are ridiculous, unless you just have some kind of crazy hop on one leg, crow like a rooster thing or something ridiculous like that you're saying is your standard, because that's not your standard. That's just you. that's that's you being power driven or whatever. And you don't ever want to come off as someone who leads with nasty behavior or condescending or any of those other negative characteristic traits. You always want to treat people with love and kindness. And as long as you are leading from that place, even if you hurt someone else's feelings, even if you say something the wrong way, your intentions are what you can control. And what you do in a situation where you hurt someone's feelings is you own up to it and you move on. Don't live in that space, because the adversary will make you feel that scarcity sense, as if this is the only guy that's ever going to come along, the only job that's ever going to come along, the only friendship that's ever going to come along, and it's not. There's more out there. There's better out there. And when I say better, I mean someone who's really willing to step up to the plate, someone who's really willing to treat you the way that you deserve to be treated. And not everyone is going to do it. And that's not a you problem, that's a them problem, because you know who you are. And as long as you do the best that you can and you control the things that you can control, don't worry about anything else. It's easier to say that than to do it, because you want to be able to be in control of everything in your life, but you're not going to be. And the moment that you recognize that you can't change anyone else's opinion of you, you can't change how anyone else reacts to what you say or how they feel about what it is that you say, the only thing that you can do is be the best version of you, lead with the best intentions, lead with love and kindness, own up to your actions and move on with your life. That's the only thing that you should be able to do. Don't fantasize things. Don't overestimate something that's unrealistic. Don't make up these, in this position, this is what I'm going to be doing in a week. Like, it's good to have an idea what the job qualities entail, what the duties and responsibilities are for that job, but don't just assume it's going to be easy peasy, because there's always going to be good and bad in everything. Don't just assume that someone that's your friend is just going to be there to answer the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning when they might have to work at 5. You really have to have like a good balance in your life and understand what's realistic and what's not, what you can control and what you can't control. And it is absolutely never, ever too late for you to stand up for yourself, to believe in yourself, to trust in yourself, trust your intuition. No matter how, if it's you and 10 friends and all 10 of your friends are just settling and just doing things the way society and the world does it, and they feel like this is the right thing that you should do because this is what they settle for in their life. Just because it's good enough for them doesn't mean it's good enough for you. And it also doesn't mean that that's what you need in your life, was what you need to settle for in your life. That might not even be within your purpose that God is giving you. If you settle for something like that, you might not even be able to reach your full potential. So you can't base what you need on someone else, because everyone's necessities is different. Everyone, what everyone wants in a friendship or a partner or a job is different. You could work at the same job, like let's say me and a family member are both working finance or something. I might want a job that's X, Y, and Z. He might want a job that's ZYX or ZYW. We are in the same field, but what we're looking for fulfillment in a career is totally different. And it's fine because we're two different human beings. We're not going to want or need the same thing. There are going to be different qualities, different characteristics that we're going to want in a person. Someone might say, oh, I don't want that person because they smile too much. And you might like a person that smiles a lot because it looks like they're trying to enjoy their life. Someone might say, oh, I don't like this person because they have an opinion. And another person might say, I love the fact that they have an opinion because I don't want just a yes person in my life. Like, you just never know what it is that that is going to be the thing that's just for you. So you can't just go based on relationship goals. You can't go based on what your friends want or a family wants or other people want in your life for you. You have to focus on what truly makes you happy, what truly fulfills you, what truly adds peace to your life. Because if you're like me, you don't want to live an unpeaceful life ever again. You don't want to be out in these streets stressed out over something that you can control. If someone is doing something that hurts your spirit, then you can just move on. You don't have to stay there. You don't have to put up with that. You don't have to do, and I know you hear a lot of people say you don't have to put up with that, but really, you determine how people treat you and you set the standard. If you can keep continuing to allow people to walk in and out of your life, that's exactly what they'll do. If you keep allowing people to do the bare minimum, that's exactly what they'll do. If you keep acting as if you don't deserve any better, that's exactly what you're going to get, until you realize what you truly deserve, what you God truly intends for your life, what it is that you truly need, and you ask for it. You will never get it, because no one can read your mind. And even if they know what the right thing to do is, when you settle for something less, they'll feel like that's good enough. And it's not. Sometimes it's not. And so really understand. Don't beat up yourself at all. Stop beating yourself up and feeling regretful and feeling just like, oh, it's just too late. It's never too late to have standards and stick up for yourself. You saw my story. I was in a long 15-year relationship. And I just felt like I needed to be miserable, and just I needed to punish myself because I messed up so much in life. And I know it sounds real sad. Even when I say it and I look back at the videos, I cringe a little bit, but I know it's part of my story and it's my truth. So I don't feel like ashamed of it. I just feel like, oh, I'm so happy I'm over that. But yes, even then, I didn't say, oh, it's been 15 years. Let me go ahead and stick in there. Hang on in there and just allow myself to just be miserable forever and never feel like I deserve anything better. I really said, no, I deserve peace in my life. I deserve happiness and everything that God intends for me to have in my life. And no, it's not easy. I still have struggles and things that I go through within myself and my life in general, but it's way better with God at the center, at the head of my life than it was when God was an option. And that's just me being real. Not that I'm trying to trying to turn it into a thing. I want to be real transparent because that's how a lot of us live our lives. And then we wonder why there's so much turmoil and so much stress in our lives. It's because we just settle for anything, and because we feel like we need to do God's job punishing us, or or we're just so hard on ourselves. And it's good to want to push for better, but you're still going to be human. So when you mess up, know that it's never too late to do the right thing, to do better, and to be everything that you intended to be. You can't harbor on the guilt. I know it's easy to harbor on guilt and just feel like, well, this person's treating me like this. Now it's too late. It's not too late. Walk away. It's not too late. Set your standards. It's not too late. You know who you are. Speak life into yourself. Every time you think about thinking that you don't deserve something better, think about all the things, all the pain that comes with settling, all the stress, all the heartache, all the crying, all the sleepless nights, all of the insecurities, all the jealousy, all of those negative characteristic traits that pull into you and feed on your mind, body, and soul until there's nothing left. Now tell me, is that really worth it? And if you can honestly say, no, it's not worth it, then it's time for you to speak life into yourself and say the things that you truly are. You are beautiful, you are smart, you are confident, you are everything God intended you to be. You deserve better because that's what God intended for your life. God didn't intend for you to just settle for less and settle for something less than what He intended for your life. He didn't just intend for you to just put up with anything. He didn't intend for you to dishonor yourself, dishonor your mind, body, and soul by settling and allowing things that don't even deserve a position in your life to enter it. He didn't just create you to be nothing. You're here for a purpose. When you're born, there's problems in this earth that go away because you see something that other people in generations before you didn't see. You go through things and you use your story for a book or whatever it is to help other people in the world. And it's not that other people couldn't do it, other people gave up when you didn't. And if God intends for you to motivate and inspire people, you can't be a hypocrite. You can't be out in these streets settling for anything. You can't be out here pretending like you know better than God. You can't be out here doubting yourself. It's normal to have some sort of to be humble, but it is not good for you to beat yourself up and to feel like there's no way you can change anything now. As long as you have air, you have breath in your body, you can breathe in and out. It's another opportunity for you to do better. Earlier today, and this is the last thing, and I'm gonna go because this video is getting pretty long, but earlier today I went on a walk and I went down to the beach. I know I say this sometimes on some of my videos, but it's really like a peaceful thing. And on my walk, I might be either doing a course or I'm listening to gospel music. And along the walk, I am looking at the grass. I'm looking at the trees. I'm looking at the sun through the trees. I'm looking at all of these flowers or leaves or whatever it is. I'm looking out onto the ocean and I can see the sand and the waves and the birds flying above, and the sky is like either so blue or it's like clouds with the sun's peeking out through the clouds. And I take in being able to see and witness all the things that God created around me and really appreciate it and be grateful for it. And me taking that moment with God and allowing myself to be grateful, allowing myself to really set my focus on being intentional, it really allows me to stay humble. It gives me, it's hard to be ungrateful when you're being appreciative of all the things around you. It really is. When you're thanking God, it's hard to be like, oh, but I didn't get this. After I go through the list of things, and that's only the things I can think of right off the top of my head. That's not even the things other things that I don't know of, or things that have happened so long ago that we get spiritual amnesia. We really we really need to stop getting amnesia when it comes to the spirit, because God has been so awesome in my life. And even though I don't always remember everything, I know how amazing He is, regardless if I have every specific point of pivotal point in my life written down or in my recollection. And so, so as I walked from the beach today, I took a deep breath in and out, and I realized that I'm still breathing, and I realized that I still had another opportunity. And I was so thankful to God for another opportunity to do better today, another opportunity to walk better, to talk better, to speak better, to be more intentional with my conversations, to think about other people's feelings, to think about how it is that I truly feel and be honest with people. Because if you can't be honest, then maybe that's not the type of person that you need to have in your life. You really need to be able to voice your opinion. And for me, when I hold in how I feel about certain stuff, it eats me up inside. It's one of those things. I have to be honest with my friends and my family and other people around me. And it's not to hurt anyone. It's if something affects me in a certain way, no one knows how I feel because they can't read. They can't read my mind. They only know by me verbalizing how it is that I truly feel. And I don't say it in a disrespectful way, like, you need to stop doing that. I literally, if someone says something that's my friend and it hurts my feelings, I'll say, hey, can you not say that anymore because it makes me feel like this? Or, when you said this, it made me feel like blah. Or I feel like blah when you say this. And they usually take it pretty well and they don't do it anymore. Or they say, I didn't mean it like this. I meant this, this, and this. And I'm like, oh, okay. That makes sense. Or sometimes, I said that was the last thing, but I talked to my one friend and I was telling her about some of the struggles that I had when I was first thinking about like being, actually being open to the idea of dating. And I was telling her how I was feeling. And she was like, you're not ready. And I said, but I feel ready. Like, I feel like I'm totally ready right now. And she was like, what you just told me, that last sentence that you just said, gives me all the information I need to know that you're not ready. And when she said it, I didn't really want to hear it. I was just like, I know me better than me. I don't know why she's thinking this. Like, I really know. Like, I feel ready. I'm totally ready. And she was right. She was being honest with me because she was looking out for me. And even though I didn't want to hear it at the time because I really felt like I was ready, sometimes our friends or people around us can see things that we don't even realize for ourselves. So it's good to have those people around you to guide you as well. And okay, that was a whole nother thing, but it's never too late to do the right thing.